Sunshine today with a high of 47, then tonight partly cloudy with a low of 27. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting live from the studios of AM 950 KTNF and streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@TheGailey This is The Gailey Show. I'm John Parker, your host, joined in studio by our executive producer, Jim Pounds.
Hey, all.
Jim is a Wisconsin citizen, and every week our family splits our time between Minneapolis and Northwest Wisconsin, and The Gailey Show has many listeners in Wisconsin. Hello, or Minnesotans with Wisconsin ties. 22 days from today, Wisconsin voters will determine the liberal or conservative majority on their Supreme Court. Chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, Ben Wikler, joins us now to discuss. Mr. Wikler, welcome to The Gailey Show.
It's great to be with you both in a moment 22 days out from the first election that will determine whether Democrats, people who believe in democracy and decency and freedom, can get up off the mat and fight back in this terrifying new era. And that is why I'm here to proclaim the greatness of Susan Crawford, a common sense judge who wants to rule based on the law, and the disaster that is Brad Schimmel, the Elon Musk super friend who just wants to magnify our state Supreme Court.
So abortion rights, congressional seat maps, the constitutionality of Act 10, which regarding public sector unions, are just a few of the potential issues in front of the Wisconsin Supreme Court. So can you lay out in stark terms the stakes for this election?
Absolutely. So we know to a very high degree of certainty, Brad Schimmel would want to reimpose the pre-Civil War abortion ban that afflicted Wisconsin for 451 days after Roe versus Wade was overturned. We have him on tape talking about how when he was Attorney General under Scott Walker, and he was going after Planned Parenthood in a case called Planned Parenthood versus Brad Schimmel, during that time, people said, why do we keep this 1849 abortion ban on the books? And his response was, well, if Roe versus Wade is overturned, we'll be glad it's there. So this is someone who likes this like 6-year felony conviction law for abortion care. This is also someone who has said that Trump was screwed over in 2020 when our state Supreme Court didn't overturn the election. He was asked whether that case was correctly adjudicated, and he said he didn't have an opinion. He hadn't looked at it. Yeah, right. So this is like, and then you got the Republican dream of re-gerrymandering our state legislature and freezing in place our gerrymandered congressional maps. This affects the future of Wisconsin, the future of the House majority, the sanctity of presidential and Senate elections going forward. It's really the whole shebang for our American democracy in the state that is the closest state in the country. So a small thumb on the scale can tip the entire nation in the state of Wisconsin. Right. And then on top of all that, Elon Musk has his own personal case working through Wisconsin Supreme Court system, so he can make money if he gets Brad Schimmel on the bench, which is another reason why he's poured $8.3 million into helping Brad Schimmel.
Wow.
So speaking of Musk, he and his allies have dumped a lot of cash into the race, but a new Marquette University poll shows that 56% of independents and 97% of Democrats say Musk is too disruptive of programs required by law, and Trump is underwater with independents by 21 points in that same poll. As you just said, Republicans are campaigning saying that, Brad Schimmel is going to protect Trump's agenda in Wisconsin. From your perspective in the field and talking with voters, what is motivating them right now? I mean, are they looking to the Supreme Court to protect them from Trump and Musk, to rein them in?
The message that the Supreme Court is our last line of defense, state courts are our last line of defense against the extremism and total lawlessness of Trump and Musk, is a very powerful message. It is the most motivating thing for Democratic voters. And it actually brings independents over, because at this point, what Trump and Musk are doing, attacks on the Veterans Administration and Social Security, attacks on clean drinking water and food inspection, cancer research, all these things that nobody wants cut. People want a Supreme Court that isn't just another rubber stamp for the Trump and Musk agenda. And so I found, I was knocking on doors the last 2 weekends, people are fired up to vote once they hear about the stakes. But I will tell you this, not everyone knows that this election's happening, who the candidates are, or why, the fact that Elon Musk is flooding our state with money to try to grab control of our state's court system. So if someone volunteers, and you can do that at wisdems.org/volunteer, or if you chip in, you can go to Crawford for WI, Crawford, Wisconsin, or wisdems.org to chip in to help us. We can put those dollars and those hours to work, because every additional door you knock is another potential voter who will go out and make sure that Susan Crawford wins. This is not like a presidential election where everyone has their mind made up. People, have heard way too much about all the candidates. There's tons and tons of people who just need that one phone call or that knock on their door, and then they turn into an enthusiastic voter who's not only voting for Crawford, but is bringing friends to the polls.
I wanted to ask about that because Wisconsin, you all did turn out 37,000 more votes for Kamala Harris than who had voted for former President Biden. So you really do see then because I know in our neck of the woods in Wisconsin, I mean, we're just buried right now in the postcards. I mean, we're getting them, at 3 or 4 every day. What do you feel then right now is your big key to voter turnout? It is those volunteers showing up to knock on doors?
Well, we have an all the above strategy. So we're doing podcasts and YouTube interviews, and here we are in StreamYard. We have ads on TV, every screen that glows. There's postcards in people's mail. There's door hangers on their doors, phone calls, door knocks, text messages, friend-to-friend outreach. It's everything. And if we do all that, then we have a chance to win no matter how much money they throw at us. What we know from recent experience is when we can drive up Democratic turnout enough, then the worst lies and scorched earth messages from the other side aren't enough to defeat us. Now, that's especially about Supreme Court elections like this. In the presidential election, what we saw was an explosion of Republican turnout as well. That happened everywhere in the country. In Minnesota, Republican turnout went up, Democratic turnout went down. In Wisconsin, Republican turnout went up, Democratic turnout also went up. We wound up having the highest turnout in the United States of America. It wasn't quite enough on our side. We lost by less than 1 percentage point, but we didn't cross the finish line in the presidential. So we cannot let that happen this time. We know the Republican strategy is to get Republicans who never voted in a Supreme Court election to turn out to help Trump. And that means that if we want to beat them, we need to turn out even more to stop Trump and Musk by beating Brad Schimmel in this race.
Wasn't our turnout rate about 75% in Wisconsin or something?
Yeah, it was 77% of Wisconsin in 2024.
Wow.
Yeah. It was, it was phenomenally high. And we added votes everywhere, in rural areas, suburbs, cities, small towns. And so did the Republicans. So this is now a very highly engaged electorate. And the GOP has poured, I think Elon Musk specifically has poured more money into this race than any donor has ever poured into almost any judicial race in American history. And certainly more than anyone who's not, there's one race where someone bought the outcome because he personally was going to lose control of his company if he didn't. That's the only race where anyone has ever donated more. And I think Musk, his personal benefit and trying to seize total political control, and we can't let him do it. And we can fight back and we can win.
Younger voters were key to Judge Protasewicz's campaign in 2023. And there was a really great political article that I have never forgotten about, talking about how Wisconsin's going through a generational shift. Are you seeing the same enthusiasm again with younger voters?
Yeah, it's a little different in the sense of it's kind of a panic right now because what the Republicans are doing, they're trying to dismantle the university system, for example, just defund universities. They're now trying to deport people who are here legally because they don't like the fact that they get involved in protests. The abortion ban, the just attacks on pretty much everything that undergirds a student's prospects. They're trying to cancel public loan forgiveness for people who go to work for nonprofits. Trump just did that with an executive order. And there's tons of people right now who plan to serve the public who are in school, paying for school with loans, and that loan forgiveness is being stripped away. So it is a full-out assault. And I think we're going to see high student turnout this year. We just need to make every aspect of turnout as high as we possibly can, because all of our freedoms are on the line with this thing.
What about the deadlines for registering? I know, isn't it this week for online and mail registration, I think, and in a couple of weeks, maybe you can go to certain key offices and register to vote in person. Am I right about that, or something? I think that's close.
Yes. So Wisconsin has one good voting law, which is we have same-day voting we have same-day registration. So there's the online registration deadline is 20 days from before before election day, and that date is this Wednesday.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
But next Tuesday on the 18th, you can go and same-day register and cast a ballot. And that means that if you haven't registered online, don't worry, just get ready and go cast your ballot next Tuesday, anytime in those next 2 weeks.
Great.
And then on election day, it could be 6 p.m. on election day, and you realize you haven't voted yet, or your friend hasn't voted yet. You can drive them to the polls, make sure they have their student ID or their voter ID ready to go, and they can register and cast a ballot at that same moment.
That's great that we have early voting for this sort of off election. I wasn't sure about that. That's great. That's great to hear.
I'll tell you a funny story. The only reason we have same-day registration, despite all the Republican voter suppression, is that Republicans realized that Wisconsin has a waiver from the motor voter law that allows people to register to vote when they get their driver's license or when they sign up for Medicaid or public service, because we have same-day registration. And they were so focused on suppressing the votes from new voters that they kept same-day registration in exchange for not having to comply with federal law.
Wow.
Yeah. Not
Boy,
great,
that
but
tells you everything you need to know.
it sure does.
Wow.
I'm curious. So, on a more macro level here, we knew that it was going to be awful, the administration. And is it, from your perspective, is it worse than you were thinking it was going to be, or is it on par?
I will say, I mean, I ran a lot of nightmare scenarios and thinking through what it would be like, which is one of the things that propelled me to do just everything in my power to try to win last fall. But I did not count on Musk being the singularly, disastrously, spectacularly horrible force of nature against everything good that he is.
Right.
The shutdown of medical research in this country, the shutdown of the president's emergency plan for AIDS relief, which literally will kill 1 million people a year for the foreseeable future if it continues to be shut down, and it looks like it will be. It didn't cross my mind that they would attack things that have been bipartisan consensus. Some of the best things our country does at home and abroad. Everyone benefits from, like, finding cures for cancer and keeping people alive from infectious diseases and reducing transmission. Those are things that benefit everybody. They're just attacking them out of the worst kind of malice, spite, incompetence, and viciousness. And it deepens my resolve to do everything in my power to fight back.
And speaking of fighting back, how can folks help you in that effort? Where do they go to sign up and to donate?
Well, one option is go to peoplevmusk.com, peoplevmusk.com. You'll find our website where we lay out, Elon Musk's terrible involvement. You can see our ad. You can share a story about how what he's done has affected you. You can donate. You can sign up to volunteer. The links are all right there. You can also just Google or go to Susan Crawford's website to donate directly to her as a candidate. If you volunteer, if you're outside Wisconsin, join a virtual phone bank. If you can get to Wisconsin, come and knock on doors. We're door knocking every weekend. We're doing phone banks every day. So this is a full court press, and it is the most fun you'll have organizing for an election, because you're calling Democrats. You're not calling, semi-Republican MAGA people who are like on the fence. They just want to know about this race, and they will thank you for telling them and alerting them, and then they'll go vote, and you'll know that you had a huge impact on a race that'll affect this entire country, and that will re-energize everyone who thinks that what Trump and Musk are doing is wrong. Anyone who thinks that no matter who you love or where you live or what you look like, everyone should have freedom and a decent shot in this country, you can strike a blow for that value by winning this race.
Perfect. We're going to take a break. More with the Gailey Show after this.
Hey, it's Tom. Minnesotans take pride in protecting their lakes, trees, and natural beauty. And now you have a chance to do even more. The state is committed to 100% renewable energy by 2040. And by switching to all energy solar, you can help make that goal a reality. Solar works in Minnesota year-round. It runs on sunlight, not heat. So even in the winter, you're generating clean energy. And for over 15 years, All Energy Solar has been helping Minnesotans make the move to affordable, renewable power. Now is the time to act. Some federal rebates could disappear with changes in the federal government, so don't wait and miss out. Get with a trusted, award-winning company. All Energy Solar was named Minnesota's Best Gold winner in 2024 and recognized as a top solar contractor by Solar Power World. The future is renewable. The choice is yours. Stop paying the utility company and start producing your own clean energy with All Energy Solar. Get a free consultation today at allenergysolar.com.
Join me this week on Ghostbox Radio with Greg Bakken. Monday, author Joe Prozit will be joining us to talk about his new horror book, They Come From Below. Tuesday, psychic medium Refined Divine will be sharing some of her alien experiences. Wednesday, talking about the Masters of Mystery with Rob Young. Tom Conwell Thursday, talking about alien disclosure and ascension. Plus, as always, Casual Friday. Join us all this week on Ghost Box Radio with Greg Bakken, Monday through Friday at 10 p.m. And you can catch past episodes on ghostboxradio.com.
Hello, I'm Todd Mickelson, host of a Satellite View podcast. It's hard to find clarity or focus here on the ground with the fire hose of issues and events. We go up high and look back on Earth from a satellite view, where we can gain our bearings and learn from the past to shoot for a better future. And have fun and laughs along the way. Go to am950radio.com, click the programs link, and find a satellite view with Todd Mickelson.
Hi, this is Laura. The net worth of the so-called bottom half, or 165 million Americans, is about $4 trillion. The top 1% of the top 1%, $24 trillion. What to do? Get out the peasant clothes and hope the titans are kind? Let's imagine a renewal spirit of democracy, an economic story that does not harm the planet. Then let's stand together. Support AM950 partners by going to am950radio.com. And thank you for being part of the AM950 community.
Hi, it's Penny from Nightingale, your gathering spot near 26th and Lyndale in South Minneapolis since 2012. Come check out the fun and vibrant atmosphere. Besides our traditional favorites like the Nightingale burger and fries, did you know we also have delicious vegetarian and vegan options? Plus, we have one of the best gluten-free menus in town. And for drinks, our bar staff is always creating fun new cocktails along with a thoughtfully curated wine and beer list. Join us at Nightingale where good times and great flavors come together.
Welcome back to the Daily Show. I'm John Parker in studio with executive producer Jim Pounds. Thank you again to Mr. Wikler, Ben Wikler, the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, for joining us to talk about the Wisconsin Supreme Court race. I can say that spending half my week in Wisconsin, and you're a Wisconsin resident, Jim, like it is a crucial race. And I did see in that Marquette University poll that a lot of folks weren't necessarily dialed into it or aware of it. So even if you are in Minnesota, you have Wisconsin friends, and you can call, be part of a phone bank, you can donate money. This is a huge impact. It's not only on the state. I mean, I remember I was working at St. Paul College when Act 10, so the public sector union nonsense, was implemented, and we saw a huge number of applicants from people from Wisconsin who were coming over into Minnesota because their pay, their benefits, all of that went down. Yeah. And so, we may say, well, that's the Wisconsin Supreme Court. That's just, them. It has a huge impact on what happens here in Minnesota. And even it was because I was working at St. Paul College and was dealing with, being on hiring committees. I wouldn't have known that until I was, helping to hire folks into the college, that I realized, wow, we have a lot of, and HR confirmed it. Like, yeah, we've been getting a huge uptick in applicants from Wisconsin.
The right to work nonsense in Wisconsin is a disgrace, and it's hurt the state on so many different levels. And Schimmel was part of that. So why anybody would want to go back to those caveman days is beyond me. So let's make sure we do whatever we have to do to ensure this outcome. It's mission critical, I would say.
Very, very. Okay, so oh my God, I'm laughing because it's going to keep me from, just screaming into the microphone right now. This was inevitable. We all knew this was going to be coming. In Arizona, at a Walmart, some folks called the cops to go into a woman's bathroom to police who is and isn't a woman. I'm not joking about this. So let's open this article. This is LGBTQ Nation reporting. Kalela Morton, 19, of Phoenix. Her and her ex-girlfriend were in a bathroom in a Tucson Walmart, and the cops walked in and started flashing their lights at their feet, saying that they had to get out of there and that they, needed to be talked to. Morton, who identifies as a masculine presenting lesbian, says that she believes a store employee had been eyeing her and trailing her, and that they called the cops. There is a video that Morton posted on her TikTok. If you go to the LGBTQnation.com website and click on the story, you can see this. It is bonkers because at one point, Morton says that when she exited the bathroom stall, she actually, and was sort of like, here, and lifted up her skirt to prove to the deputies that she was a woman, a cisgender woman. And the deputies went, "You look like a man." And they kept going on about it.
It's disgraceful.
And the thing is here, though, is that I was looking this up and I can't actually find, so it doesn't mean that there is one, but I was doing a pretty, deep dive into this. I can't find an actual law on the books in Arizona restricting bathroom access. Now, again, I haven't found one. There could be one on there. The Arizona Senate just passed a bill creating they want to create separate bathrooms for trans students in school, separate but equal, right? But I can't find anything that is specific to Arizona about either state buildings or just generally speaking that, policing who can use what bathroom. So that, just adds another level of egregious, behavior to this. Now oh shoot, I lost my
Wouldn't you respect
my article.
Wouldn't you respect the police more if they just said, "Oh, person who's calling, never find something better to do with your life."
Right? So the Pima County Sheriff's Department told the outlet that authorities are aware of the situation and they have launched an internal investigation, which we all know how that's going to go. I have absolutely zero faith that there would be anything positive related to that in terms of community safety. And a Walmart representative has said that they are also cooperating with the investigation. Thankfully, Morton intends to sue, and I think that is great.
Good.
She said that it's already enough being Black and facing discrimination, but now she has to, face her harassment just based off of how she, presents her, her gender. And I really wish her all the luck on this lawsuit, because it is there is no law. There is no law in Arizona to charge someone with, and I'm saying that pretty emphatically right now, and I want to acknowledge there could be one. The Movement Advancement Project isn't listing one in their scorecard, and just, in doing searches, I keep finding, bills for one, but not one actually on the books. But if there isn't a law to charge someone on that, you're going to need more than just, I think there's a quote unquote man in the bathroom, go in and arrest them.
Right. Well,
what?
So stay out of Walmart, I guess, would be as much as you can. I would not go to that place. I'm not surprised that it happened in a Walmart, frankly.
Well, I mean, given what that company is now doing to walk away from, LGBTQ rights and canceling all their diversity, equity, and inclusion, and just generally being, a terrible company when it relates to LGBTQ folks.
Right.
I don't think it's unfair to say that, there are stores now where we need to have our guards up.
Yeah.
And we need to determine, are we safe shopping in these stores anymore?
Right.
And if employees are going to start calling the cops
right,
based off of who they assume is or isn't
right,
a woman or a man,
Yep.
and the cops are going to follow through on that,
Yep.
and they're going to continue to harass someone, "Oh, we think that you're a man." What?
Yep. I'd give my money to somebody else.
And in that situation, and this is something that the law is going to have to figure out here, which is, how exactly are you going to determine? Are you going to do a strip search on someone to determine their gender identity?
Sounds like it. I guess we should all just strip down when the police come in.
And what are the rights then for the individual in that regard?
Right.
It's just so.
It's not America anymore.
And this is the thing that, we can talk about, folks can sit there and go, "Oh, well, that's a law for transgender people." And cis women may think that they've protected themselves in the bathroom. Well, guess what? No, now you're going to be profiled.
Right.
Every woman that's going to walk into a bathroom,
if you have a low voice,
is going to be policed,
Right.
is going to be profiled.
It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. We have so many real problems, and this is not one of them, clearly.
It just, yeah. So we'll keep following that story, and I'm sure that there's going to be more of these. There's absolutely going to be more of these because they are creating a completely dangerous situation.
Well, as you say, we should go into a place, on our guard. No matter where we're going, frankly, in public, we should be on our guard. We should be looking around and paying attention.
We've got to fit in a break here. When we come back, more LGBTQ groups are suing Trump. We can't do this show without our advertisers and sponsors. So visit them, shop with them, and tell them you heard about them on The Gaily Show.
Hi, Minnesota. Stephanie Miller here. Join me every weekday morning from 8 to 11 for a humorous look at politics and current events on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
This is Chad, owner of AM 950 for Snap Construction again. Does your home feel colder than it should with the furnace constantly running? Or do certain rooms always feel colder than the rest of the house? Those are signs the attic in your home may need an insulation upgrade. Snap Construction can help by providing a free energy audit for your home's insulation. The average cost of getting new insulation can cost much less than a new furnace. Plus, Snap Construction is a BPI certified installer. That means if you use Snap for your next insulation project, you qualify for up to $650 in total rebates from your energy provider. After my free inspection, my insulation upgrade was completed within a few weeks and the rebate check was in the mail. Snap to it and reduce your heating bill this winter with Snap Construction. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP for your free energy audit when you mention AM 950. Snap Construction, arguably the most well-reviewed exterior contractor and insulation company in the metro.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch, a college political science instructor and attorney. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We dive into how civics, politics, and law affect you. Discover how government impacts your daily life from the federal level all the way down to your local city. Each week, I'll share my key takeaways and teaching moments on crucial civics concepts to help understand what is happening in the current political environment. That's Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch, Sundays at 5 p.m. or anytime on your favorite podcast app.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Sunshine today with a high of 47, then tonight partly cloudy with a low of 27. The music is still the hottest at Crooner's Supper Club in Fridley. Crooner's is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 and Moore Lake Drive. View their upcoming music schedules and food menus at croonersloungemn.com. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Broadcasting live from the studios of AM 950 KTNF, the progressive voice of Minnesota, and streaming live right now on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@thegailyshow. Welcome to The Gaily Show. I am your host, John Parker, executive producer, Jim Pounds with me.
Hey there.
And in the control room, Patrick. Hey, Patrick, we didn't get to say hi off the top of the hour.
How's it going?
It is going. It's like 60 degrees outside, which is, we go from a snowstorm to 60, and I don't, climate change. Whee! It is 33 minutes after the hour. Our call-in number, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. This is important number right now. We have been on the air for 2 months. So just over 2 months and 4 days. that we have been in this new format. How are we doing, folks? Do you like the show? What do you want more of the show? Call in. Let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. While we're waiting for folks to call in, because I know you're going to. And we're also going to share some like highlights and things that we've enjoyed doing over the past 2 months. But we've got a new lawsuit against the Trump administration. The Rhode Island Latino Arts, the National Queer Theater in Brooklyn, New York, the Theater Offensive of Boston, and the nonprofit Theater Communications Group are all suing Trump, specifically over the denying of national education arts grants. Restate that. National Endowment for the Arts grants. So they have blocked grants for anything that is promoting quote unquote gender ideology. And so the groups that are listed here say that we produce artworks and theatrical productions that do affirm all peoples, including trans and non-binary identities and experiences. And so they are being preemptively denied funds. And the groups are saying that their constitutional rights to free speech and due process and equal treatment under the law are being violated by this executive order.
Yep.
And this is where it's going to be so fascinating to see how these lawsuits go. When we have free speech claims, what are the courts going to say? Because, they are able under so many different things to, there's a lawsuit that the Supreme Court, we're going to talk about this tomorrow, but a therapist in Colorado is trying to get the ban on conversion therapy overturned based off of free speech. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. But here again, now we see us, our team, our side. We have, we have a legitimate claim here on the suppression of free speech, where they're denying, funding and the ability to exercise free speech. And so the ACLU is representing these 4 organizations. Their lawyer, Lynette Labinger, said that the vagueness of the prohibition requires them to guess, our plaintiffs here, to guess as to what, if anything, they can create, produce, or promote that addresses themes of gender or that affirms the identities of all people regardless of their gender identity. So this is coming on the takeover of the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts in D.C., who apparently now Trump is the chairman, the board chairman for that. They're all excited. They're saying we're going to enter a golden age where there's no more drag shows at the Kennedy Center for the Performing Arts. It's like, what? Issa Rae has canceled her upcoming performance at the center. Shonda Rhimes has resigned from the board. Ben Folds has resigned his artistic advisor position with the National Symphony Orchestra. The Orange Fascist canceled a concert with the National Symphony Orchestra that was associated with World Pride, which is the biennial LGBTQ plus gathering. It was scheduled to be here in May. I know a number of countries, including Canada, have said that they are not going to be sending contingents this year because of the potentially dangerous scenario of sending queer, trans, and non-binary people to this country now.
Yep. We've become one of the bad ones.
This is
one of the black ones.
This is a
black country.
What are you saying?
Well, that is we're one of the bad guys. White hat, black hat. We're one of the black hats now.
Oh,
with
this really antiquated.
Well, that's how it occurred to me. I thought I've talked to a lot of people.
Weird reference.
I've talked to a lot of people in other countries who have said, "Boy, I don't know. Am I going to be safe there?" I mean, literally, you and I know people in the United Kingdom and other places that have said, "I'm not sure. Would I be safe there?"
Yeah,
and I'm not sure that they would be safe in many
on
parts.
Which state you go to.
Yeah, so black hat is my reference.
I don't know what that means. What is that from?
The good guys and the Westerns always wore white hats, and the bad guys always wore black hats.
Racist. Let's
it
drop
isn't.
this.
It isn't
it
racist.
Sounds, and it probably derives from
But it's
Yeah.
from Westerns.
Yeah, no.
Are Westerns
We're going
racist?
to
Okay, I
we're
don't
gonna
know.
cut that out of the
I don't see what's wrong with that. I'm sorry if I offended anybody.
No, it's it just sounds
You don't
weird.
watch enough Westerns. That's your problem.
Clearly, I don't. Westerns from the 19. You mean like Westerns where they were having Latino actors play
Well, okay,
Native
yes,
Americans?
I know that's
those
not the
Westerns.
most. Yes, I understand.
Okay. Well, we'll be following this story to see how it turns out, because free speech rights, do we get them? Do we not get them? 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205 to join the conversation or to talk about how the show has been going for the past 2 months. I have to say that a highlight for me was just about 20 minutes ago, getting to interview Ben Wikler, who's the chair of the Wisconsin Democratic Party, who was my preferred candidate to run the DNC. So you know, the DNC voters made the wrong. I'm sorry, they made a different choice.
Different choice.
And I mean, no disrespect, I guess, to Ken Martin, but I'm actually very happy that we're going to get new leadership here in Minnesota for the DFL. Because I do believe in leadership transitions. I do believe in term limits. I felt that Ken had his run. We thank him for his service, but it was time, it's always time for new leadership. And, I salute Tina Smith, Senator Smith, for, deciding to step down and not be an eternal senator. That is exactly what we need. Senator Klobuchar is a great senator, but I would encourage her to also consider stepping down. It is time for new leadership. We can't have the same senators. We can't have senators who are in their 90s. This has got to stop.
No, I know, but some of the issues,
stop.
Some of the issues there are when you have a senator that you like, and the incumbent has a benefit, you sort of hate to give up that benefit in order to see what happens.
You have to have constant turnover. There needs to be
in an ideal world,
but we need
which
to
we're
start
not in.
No,
we're not in an ideal world.
Yeah,
but I know what you're saying.
This justification keeps it going, where we have people dying in office, and Senator Feinstein should not have died.
We have a
in
problem
office.
right now with a member of the House of Representatives from Arizona who has cancer, and because he's ill and trying to recover, he's not been voting in the House of Representatives. So we are down one vote when we need that vote. And that gentleman, and I'm sorry that I didn't look up his name before I started talking about him, needs to resign so they can replace him with a fully functioning Democrat who can vote in the House of Representatives. And that's how that pragmatism sort of trumps, if you'll excuse that expression, the idea that we should have X, Y, and Z. We're not in an ideal situation. We're in we're this far away from a disaster. So it seems like we have to be practical. And me, I'm an incrementalist and a pragmatist.
I just, when Senator Feinstein, who was of questionable
agreed
lucidity, died in office, that was just, that was the last straw for me.
Or
and
Mitch McConnell.
I don't care what party it is.
Right.
I love me Bernie Sanders.
Yes, me too.
But term limits.
Yep.
We are represented by a group of people who do not reflect.
Well, there's at least.
I love Tammy Baldwin. Trailblazing senator. Absolutely trailblazing. I know we've had some issues over the years, as we've had issues with, Senator Smith and Senator Klobuchar. But to be the first lesbian senator, but she can't be the only one.
No.
We need term limits.
We have 2 members of the U.S. Supreme Court that are over the age of 70, and you see the kind of what's coming out of the U.S. Supreme Court is reflective of people who don't have any idea what's going on.
They should not be dying in office.
They're clueless.
Either. Yeah, no.
Their humanity is in question in my mind. Sorry to say that.
It is incorrect. But I also have to say I've really enjoyed the Thinking Clearly episodes on Thursdays.
Yes.
That has been a highlight for me.
And you apparently are doing a little essay at the end of that. I've been hearing about the cosmos.
I do. Queer in the Cosmos.
If you listen on Thursdays, you're getting you're getting a mixture that you usually don't get. Right? You're getting
as an aspiring essayist, it is nice to be writing on a weekly basis, and I'm absolutely obsessed with the cosmos right now.
Right.
I had a friend who was like, "Well, it's because you don't want to live on this planet anymore," and I'm like, "I'm not saying that's true." But
Yeah.
it is absolutely. It's been really interesting to be looking at the cosmos in a way that helps me gain some distance and perspective that I feel is useful, not in an escapist type of a way, but just to sort of help ground myself and how I'm, looking at the
Sure.
but also just getting to know like Frank Kameny. I did a 2-part essay on Frank Kameny, who was gay and was an astronomer and would have spent the rest of his life happily looking at the stars and studying the stars, and got his PhD from Harvard and was fired by the federal government for being gay. And I knew of Frank. I did not realize he was part of the cosmos. That was where I was sort of zeroed in on, because he ended up having the very first lawsuit at the Supreme Court based off of, sexual orientation. And he went on to found the Mattachine Society and began, doing all of this work of organizing and LGBTQ civil rights. But he started life as an astronomer. And also it was a really good bit of history to dive into, because it started with an executive order, the Lavender Scare.
Oh, boy.
And then I know. Started as I mean, we're literally reliving history right now. It started with an executive order, then there was legislation, and then all of the things that they're saying right now around gender ideology and how they're trying to purge all of these employees from the federal government is a literal, almost word for word, exactly what they were saying in the 50s.
This is the thing that frustrates me so much when people say, "Oh, I don't like history," and I'm thinking, good Lord, that's why we're in this situation, is people haven't done a good job of learning their history and swearing to themselves they're not going to recreate it. And that's why we keep recreating it, because we don't pay attention to history.
Lavender Scare, we are recreating it
We
almost
certainly are.
word for word.
Yep.
But yeah, that is an episode series that I have really enjoyed.
Have you gotten any feedback on either Thursdays or on the Cosmos essays?
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Since you're kind of running
Not
solo
as much as I
on
wanted.
Yeah.
952-946-6205.
Speaking of which.
952-946-6205. I think that's something that, if I had to say that I want more of the show, as I've just really enjoyed the
Feedback?
folks who have called in to give their perspective on the news of the day, whether it's stuff that we've been talking about or things that they've wanted to bring up. And I've wanted more of that. The folks that have called in, I've had such a, gotten such a kick out of talking with them. And if there's a direction that I'd like to go with the show moving forward, is to kind of try to create that community town hall feeling where we are talking to each other. I mean, I know when folks call into a radio show, they're like talking to me and they're talking to us, and it doesn't feel like super town hall-y. But when we get a number of people calling in and talking about an issue or a policy or something, or just where we want to see this country go, that's something that I would love to see more of happening on the show. And trying to think through how we can, help encourage that, moving forward, because I've loved the guests that we've been booking on the show, and I've been very humbled for folks, to get, Rep Jamie Long, to get Rep Breon Curran, the assistant DFL leader, to get, Ben Wikler, who's, mainly talking to, major national news outlets, and, very gracious to spend his time with us here today. I've been very, feeling very lucky to have that platform and be able to talk to folks about that. But I want to talk to more queer folks as well on the show. We're going to take a break and talk to you about a thing that Jim and I are doing later today that has been very talk about grounding. So one last break, but more to get to here on The Gailey Show.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
If you go to shoprainbowrd.com, you will find an amazing variety of adult novelties, literally thousands of items that you can peruse in the privacy of your home and have shipped to your door. Plus, in the store, you can find swimwear, casual wear, underwear, everywhere. Rainbow Road is located at 109 West Grand Street near Loring Park. Gift cards are available for the hard to shop for. Go to shoprainbowrd.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
Tune in this Saturday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. right here on AM 950 for the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show from 7 to 8 a.m. We'll be discussing That's Not Totally True garden myths, as well as the world of lettuces. Our guest is canner and blogger Linda Zidrick will be with us, and we'll answer your garden questions. So tell your friends Garden Talk Radio is on AM 950 from 7 to 8 a.m. Saturday mornings.
Connections Radio Show is all about tapping into our hardwired hunger to connect. We examine meaningful connections to ourselves, our community, and the world around us. By opening the door to innovative insights by a wide variety of interesting guests, we'll make the connections to something bigger than ourselves. Join me, Lori Fitz, your host of Connections Radio Show, and together we'll make the connections. Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Progressive change doesn't just happen. It takes dedication and a lot of hard work. 25 years ago, the DataBank pioneered a new generation of software tools for progressive organizations here in Minnesota. Since then, thousands of organizations have used the DataBank to create progressive change. Today, the DataBank continues to help progressive organizations like AM 950. To have the DataBank help your organization build capacity and create more change, text CHANGE to 612-540-0500 or go to thedatabank.com. The DataBank, a quarter century of dedication and hard work for progressive organizations.
Welcome back to the Daily Show Fiesta music. To wrap up our Monday today, I'm John Parker. Jim Pounds, executive producer, here with me. So everybody's trying to figure out how do we respond to what's going on, and also develop good boundaries of, you know, how do I set good boundaries for myself to pace myself to get through the next 4 years. And something that came up that I wasn't expecting was going to be a thing, but turned into a thing, and I'm actually very grateful about it. So the podcast that I host, The Square Book Saved My Life, that Jim also exec produces, last fall, we had a guest come on who was talking about Angels in America and how that play had life-saving impacts for him. And at one point during the conversation, he said, you know, I got to read this when I was, you know, in my late teens or early 20s, and it literally told me everything that I'm going to need to know about American politics and to be a, you know, gay man in America. And it was great to have that conversation and to revisit the play. And I hadn't read the play in a long time, and I hadn't seen the miniseries in a long time, and I hadn't seen a production of it since like 2000, the year 2000. And the election happened. Afterwards, if you've seen the HBO miniseries of it, there is this absolutely gorgeous oboe theme in it, because the oboe as an instrument plays a big, you know, part of the play. And the score, the theme song, has a beautiful, beautiful oboe solo in it. And I began hearing that in my head after the election. And I was like, wait a minute, we have Max. So I went on and I was like, I know it's here. I want to watch the series. And I started watching it. You started joining me and watching it, Jim. And I got done and I cried. And I was shocked how much of it that was happening, of what was happening in 1980s America, that they were, you know, depicting was happening again here today. And I watched it again and cried all over again. And then right when I thought I got it out of my system, like the next week, I watched it all over again. And while watching it that time, you came upstairs and you're like, look, I have a copy, like a hard copy of the play. And so I read through those, devoured them. And at the end of, I think I was getting done with the part 2, Perestroika, and I remember, offhandedly saying, I just would love to read these words out loud, because I found myself just mouthing them as I was reading them. And I was like, it would just be so, like, not do a full production, just read them, say them out loud. And, Jim's been an actor in the Twin Cities for, 30, 40 years, and you've done over 100 shows at almost all the theaters here in town. And so Jim just starts, that's my, sound effect for getting on the phone.
Oh, I wondered what that was.
Calling people. And the next thing we knew, we had a cast of folks who were willing to read the various parts. And we picked a Monday in January that was the Monday before the inauguration, and we hosted them at our condo, and we all got in there, and even one person caught the flu at the end, and so we had them zoom in, so we had them like on the TV screen. And then thankfully we do radio and podcast, so I had a good microphone, and we set it up in the middle of the group and we were able to still do the reading. And
that was the lovely Tina Siegel.
It was such a who came with props and costumes.
Yes, she's not kidding around.
And it was so exactly what I needed. And I hope that it had, I don't know if it had the same effect for the folks who were being there, but it did feel like when we got to the end of part 1, which is what we read, Millennium Approaches, that we had just sort of done something very special with each other. And we had experienced something that we all weren't necessarily thinking would be beneficial. And it was so beneficial. And we all left that night going, let's do part 2. Let's do part 2. So tonight, we're going to be doing at a friend's house. We're going to be doing part 2. We're doing it at our friend's house because we can be more loud.
That's the lovely David Coral.
Yes. At our condo, we were like, oh, we can have raised voices, but we can't shout. But there's so much in part 2, particularly where there is some, very loud speaking, because there's some big things that are happening in the play. And so I'm really grateful to be in theatrical community again tonight, and to thank you, Jim, for organizing this, because it was not easy to cast a play, even if it's just a reading. You're not mounting it, but to get a cast a play, find a time that's going to work for everybody, find a space, get everybody's scripts. We had to print. We had to find a way of making sure that everybody had a script to read from, and even though it is just us, the cast members, and we actually gonna have a guest who had never heard the play before, and so he was, they were just hanging out, and were listening to it.
Well, I think we have to thank Charles Frazier too, because boy, this time around we had to replace a few people that weren't available, and he cast.
And then he had some last minute,
3 people.
Yeah,
he was able to come up with 3 people.
But it is
so. Thank you, Charles.
It is something that you wouldn't think of a play reading as being like, okay, well, I can just read the play then. But there's just something about being in a space with other folks. And that first night, we had folks that weren't actors,
right, there,
or if they were, they had done very limited acting. You know what I mean? And so, but just to be in that space and to hear those words. And we're not all going to win Oscars or Tonys for it. You know what I mean? Like that, but that's not the point. The point was to be there and to inhabit those characters, and to be in the room and hear those characters' voices. We're not all in costumes. We're not all, we're just literally sitting in a chair eating M&Ms and, committing to the text. I was just so grateful for those actors, the way they committed to that text. I mean, it was emotional. So for those of you who are out there that are thinking about, TV show or a film or a play that was really impactful for you, I'm here to say, get a bunch of friends together and read it out loud. It was empowering.
Very
empowering. But we have to wrap it up here today. So thank you for listening. Tune in tomorrow at 2 p.m. Up next is the Matt McNeil Show, which is being guest hosted by Nancy Nelson. And then after that, keep it tuned for Native Roots Radio. In the meantime, keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.